Do you feel? Do you have any regrets
I just talked about several of them.
outside of? Okay, listen. I'm not talking about your own personal transgressions or your own past, right? After you pivoted, right? Because a lot of what you've basically communicated to me is that you pivoted because you didn't have any other choice, right? It's almost like God forced you into this space where He was dealing with you at that particular time, right? Even then, right, based off of the journey that you're making, do you still think that, or do you have regrets based off of what it is that you've been living your life like after 2015, right? Do you still feel compelled to have a family, or you know what I'm saying?
Yes,
Like,
yes, yeah. No, I definitely, definitely. But again, when you, it's hard to shake off. I had to in 2020. I had to leave L.A. and Los Angeles
mm,
because I wasn't strong enough uh, to stay in Los Angeles, and so that's part of. There's very several reasons why I left Fox Sports, and but part of it was like I need to get out of LA if I'm going to uh, live a more biblically sound Christian way. I don't have the strength to do it here in LA, and so and again, do I got regrets? I just ate a baked potato and a half for my lunch. I probably should have just ate a baked potato. I got regrets pretty much every day. I regret coming on here without running a comb through my head. But
oh
I
my
got regrets
god,
all the time.
do you think that now, we said 2015, almost 8 years later, that you strong enough to actually to be able to exist in these environments that you had to get away from in order to be able to start living this lifestyle that you live in?
Uh,
But let me
well,
add a little bit more context, right? So, for example, because I know you do your own thing or whatever, and you got your own broadcast and everything like that. Would you ever even go and work for some of these organizations that may have pushed you out? If they were to ever come calling again, would you even consider it? Would you consider moving back to LA? Would you consider being in those environments? And do you think that you're strong enough? And the reason that I'm asking you specifically is because I think that you are a reflection of a segment of the population of men that face, a lot of the temptations and the things on a daily basis that come along with success. Do you think that you're strong enough to be able to exist in those environments again?
yeah, I feel like I would. I don't think I would ever live in LA again. And that's uh, that explanation is a bit more personal that I'll go into on here. But yeah, I can work anywhere because again, I'm pretty. Even when I was out there bad, I'm pretty unshakable on the things that I believe in. I've dealt with a lot of public criticism and throughout my entire career, no matter where I've worked at.
Hmm.
There are values that were instilled in me at the church I grew up in that they're not going anywhere, and they're just not. And so I think anybody that knows me or has worked with me in the past knows, I'm going to say what I think. I'm going to do what I think is right. I'm going to be a good employee. I'm going to show up on time. I'm not going to cause any problems. I'm not going. You ain't going to catch me sexually harassing nobody.
Right.
Uh, but you know, yeah, can I exist? Yeah, I existed. I had a great 5 or 6 year run at Fox Sports before I left in 2020. There's no one at Fox Sports or anywhere that can complain about anything I did while I was there. Uh, and you know, I my personal life and or the woman I was dating out in L.A. or whatever, I just needed to move. That was
What about
that's
because you said it's not necessarily Western culture, but I got to push back a little bit against that simply because we exist in an environment where family court laws, for example, is set up as basically a profitable entity that then benefits at the chaos that comes along with breaking up
That's
family.
not Western culture, I think, though. Been the
Family court
Western
laws?
culture. Yeah, Western culture is being perverted right now. We're Western culture is the experiment of trying installing Christian values in your system of operation. And that's all been under attack and under really strong attack the last 60, 70 years. And so the way they've set up family court system to completely favor the woman and
Correct.
totally emasculate and punish the man, that's not Western values. That's the matriarchy. That's a
You don't
world
think
that
that
we.
the how things evolve then become a part of the culture?
Yeah, they're reshaping the culture. But again, this is not what was intended, when it started. But yeah, they are totally, and that again, my whole show and point of view for the last decade basically has been like, you know, they're reshaping the culture in a way that undermines male leadership, undermines God's natural order, eliminates Christian values, uh,
I
and
agree,
and
100%.
right. So
Well, the reason I asked that question is because if the purpose of a man, according to what it is that you described, right, is family, what we see happening in culture in a general sense is the exact opposite of that, right? And so, how can a man exist within this culture and be able to really be in his purpose when in reality everything is lined up against a man, which it doesn't give a man any incentive to do so, and more importantly, he then looked to protect himself because it's hard to ignore what happened to the people that came before you. It's hard to ignore a guy that's getting killed on child support. When I read these, or I look at these videos and guys that then get put on child support as a result of a woman putting his name on a birth certificate for a kid that's not even his, that's hard for me to be able to tell a guy, hey, your purpose is family, when in reality, it's set up for him to fail.
I don't think we have any disagreement there. The only thing we probably have disagreement on is that this matriarchal push, this objection to traditional Christian values, is as it relates to us as black people.
Right.
The leaders of that group are black women. They've taken the
I agree.
deal that they want to disavow Western culture, Christian values, patriarchal leadership. They've taken the deal that LBJ put on the table and every Democrat has put on the table ever since. And then we as black people allow them to say, anybody that objects to, like, hey man, this doesn't work for the black man, this doesn't work for men in general. This doesn't work if you have Christian values. Anybody that stands up and says that, they say, well, that dude is anti black. He's either a white racist or he's a black sellout. He's a coon. He's an Uncle Tom.
Agreed.
It's white supremacy. And so they've taken racial idolatry. Idolatry is at the root of all sin,
I
and
agree.
idolatry is anything you place above God. And so they've taken racial idolatry,
Hmm.
which again, there's many, many, I had a sexual idolatry that will
Yeah, I
take
mean, it's
you all.
basically placing anything before God, to love anything
Yeah.
before God.
And
Yeah.
so I have a food idolatry, and so, but racial idolatry is the force that they're using to rope all of us black people into, hey, this system sucks. We've been oppressed. We're victims. We can't make it in America. Blah blah. They're using racial idolatry to destroy us.